Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder and thank you for joining me today. Got something really special, really exciting here. It's a new Pink Floyd box set. It's titled The Later Years and covers the period from 1987 until 2019 present day. This is a period that covers the Gilmour years, if you will. It's got Rick Wright on keyboards, David Gilmour on guitar and vocals, Rick Wright actually sang as well, and Nick Mason on drums. So this is post Roger Waters era. If you recall, a few years back in 2016, they did an early years box set that was a massive 33 disc box set that covered the years from 65 until 72. There was a highlights disc from it that's this right here, and likewise we get from this one we get a highlights disc here from the later years as well. There's a separate review on my YouTube channel for that as well if you're interested. But this one here covers the period from 87 until 2019. And that period covers the Momentary Lapse of Reason album in 1987, the Division Bell from 1994, and then 2014's album, The Endless River. Now, while Pink Floyd themselves have not been really an ongoing concern in terms of either really recording or touring, other than 2014's The Endless River, there's a 20-year gap between the Division Bell and that, and they haven't toured since the 1994 Division Bell tour. They have been doing a lot of archival release material. They've done their whole remaster series that had a bunch of archival stuff on it. They then did the 2014 Endless River studio album, but that was comprised of outtakes from the Division Bell. 2016 was then the early years box set, much like this one here. 2016 saw a best of release along with some additional remasters, and then now here in 2019 we have the later years from 1987 to 2019, and this is an 18 disc box set. It's got 5 CDs, 6 DVD, 7 Blu-ray, and then 2 7-inch singles, and it covers a wide variety of material during that period. They've done remixes of the Momentary Lapse of Reason album. They've done added new parts to that, meaning Rick Wright's keyboards and Nick Mason's drumming on it because they were not included on the original. They've got remixes of live material. Delicate Sound of Thunder has been remixed. There's outtakes, 5 tracks from the Division Bell era. There's rehearsal material, Lost for Words. They've got live material like the Nebworth 1990 concert and early versions like demos of High Hopes. So this is covering a large swath of material during that time period, and of interest, all of this is unreleased. This isn't just a collection of the studio albums and stuff that has been available. This is all new in the sense it has either been remixed, it's live and unreleased. Even the video content that is on here has been remixed and re-edited. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's take a look at this box set here and see what we've got. This is it's a clamshell lift-off top, but you can see already this is a massive, really thick box set. And I'm just going to lay it down here. There's the back side of it, and crack it open, and you'll just see how it lifts off like that. Right on top, we've got a series of tour books from them. So I'm going to thumb through these really quickly. Delicate Sound of Thunder era. Great live shots and other things that you would expect from tour book of the day. And then we've got the Momentary Lapse of Reason. I'll just give you some quick shots of that as well. Right. There is a lyric book in this, which is interesting that they've included this. It's got a lot of great imagery to go along with it. So there's that. And then the third of the tour books, one from Division Bell itself, which would have also been the Pulse tour. right? So the next thing that's in here, and it just lifts out, it's got this ribbon, is this thing here, which contains a bunch more memorabilia. Pink Floyd's always been really good with that. They did this with their early years box set. They included quite a bit of memorabilia in there. So this thing is a lift top like so. And the first thing I'm going to pull out of this are the two 7-inches. We've got a 2007 Arnold Lane performance for the Syd Barrett tribute concert on 7-inch. This is the back side. And then you've got a tour rehearsal from Paul's for Lost for Words. That's the back side. And I also want to show you the discs themselves because they're A-side only, but the B-sides of these, you can see it there in the reflection, are etched, right? And so is Arnold Lane. It is also an etched disc itself. So something unique there as opposed to putting a B-side on it. Okay, we've got a series of concert posters. All right, one here from a Russian concert. There's a series of stickers this comes with. Another concert poster here from the Division Bell. One here from Momentary Lapse of Reason. And then another one here. There you go. All right, so in addition to that memorabilia, there's also a series of other concert ticket pieces. They're double-sided printed, which is really great. Backstage passes. More concert tickets. This one's cool. It's got a map of the location on the back. Nick Mason is usually involved with a lot of this stuff here, as he's always been the sort of band's archivist. The next thing that's part of this is the this hardback book that comes with it. Really great book here. This is a picture book. There's unfortunately no real history or any information like that that's provided with it, but you get a lot of really great period era, sort of museum quality imagery and compiled stuff from the promotions of the album and that sort of stuff, all included here within this book. All right, now we get into the actual music of this. There's a whole series of, if I can flip this around here, you can sort of see them there. I don't want them to fall out, but there's individual 13 discs of these Blu-ray and DVD releases that are within here that replicate, as well as some additional stuff from the CDs. But the CDs themselves are housed in their own separate book. That is this part right here. This is the back side of it. So it does allow you to pull this thing out, keep the box set separate, and just sort of have this around. You don't have to have everything floating around, makes it easy to get to. And so there's the 5 discs that are in here. There's 3 of them that are up front in here. We've got the Momentary Lapse of Reason remix. We've got the Delicate Sound of Thunder parts 1 and 2 that have been remixed. And then you've got live recordings and unreleased studio recordings, as well as the Nebworth 1990 concert. And so there is information on those recordings and the other stuff that's in here within this part of the book, albeit it's really just, you know, who recorded it, when it was recorded, and that sort of stuff right there. It doesn't really go into any sort of explanation about that stuff. That would be my only sort of complaint about this box set, is that there isn't a sort of history of and or explanation about what was going on at this time within the band. And I would have liked to have had something that did more of that sort of informational stuff for us to be able to review and to go along with what the content is that's in here. But let me just talk a little bit about one, that I guess the content, and two, the sound that's on this. So content-wise, as I mentioned, Momentary Lapse of Reason is a remix. So it does not, the original release that came out in 1987 did not have keyboards played by Rick Wright. As part of a legal issue, he was not allowed to record on the album. He was not yet part of the band due to legal issues between the band and Roger Waters. And in addition, Nick Mason didn't really feel that his drumming was up to par, so they brought in session musicians to do most of that. But now, as part of this, David Gilmour always felt as though there was an unbalance on that album, that it really wasn't a Pink Floyd album, it was more of a solo record. And so by being able to restore Rick Wright's parts to it and have Nick Mason's gone back in and actually done a new drum track for it, it's able to turn it into more of a true Pink Floyd record. And so they lifted Rick Wright's keyboard parts from live shows. And of course, as I said, Nick Mason, his drumming is new from that. So you're getting something new, something old with this, pretty interesting to get that. Delicate Sound of Thunder is a remix. Probably more interesting, though, is the concert that's been completely re-edited, meaning the video content has been re-edited. And I've seen some side-by-sides of the original VHS of that and the present day new edits of that. And it looks phenomenal. So I highly recommend checking that out. There's live content that's on here, but there's also 5 studio outtakes from the Division Bell era on here, and they're fully fleshed out songs. There's not lyrics on them, but they're not just minute and a half, 2 minute sketches, or demos, if you will. They sound like full-on Pink Floyd tracks. There's a 4 minute, there's a 6 minute. It's just really good amount of content as far as that's concerned. And the sound on this is really stunning, both the live and the studio material. I will say, when I've been listening to the remix of Momentary Lapse of Reason, definitely gave space for the instrumentation to breathe. You can actually hear each of the individual instruments on this. There's much more. You can hear some flair from Rick from the live recordings of this that's a little different than what was the straight studio takes on that originally by the session guys. There's definitely a clarity to the backup singers and the samples that are on this. But I will say this, the new drums on it, they don't have that sort of big bombastic echoey 80s sound, that layered feel. They're much more natural. And thereby, they actually sound like they've reverted a bit to the background on this. And I don't know how I feel about that. I was a big fan of the 1987 album. I love that album personally. I probably will always have an affinity for that. It is great to hear Nick Mason on it and hear this new take on it. And I will say that it probably fits in better with the overall Pink Floyd catalog as a whole. It definitely sounds like Nick Mason's drums. But if you're used to the way that 1987 album sounded, the drums are a little more subdued and in the background. So there is some difference there on that. But again, being able to get that alternate version of what might have been certainly interesting to hear and to get. So now this box set's pretty pricey. I got it off Amazon for $350. I've seen it, in stores for $450, and it's been as high as $500 as the, on Amazon. I think that is its sort of set value, and it might be discounted from there. But all in all, I would have liked. I guess I would have liked more content, maybe more CDs. There's a lot in the Blu-ray and the DVD, the video content, both the MTV videos, the live content, the stage videos from the circular screen, a lot of things like that are on there. So there's really great video content, but with only 5 CDs of material, and 3 of those are live discs. one of them being a remix disc. So the actual only new studio material are 5 outtakes from the Division Bell. You know, I'm left a little wanting on this. Now, of course, being a huge Pink Floyd fan that I am, I'll take anything that I can get. But for $350, that might be a bit much for some people. So certainly go into this knowing what you're getting. It's not quite as jam-packed as the early years was. With that 33 disc, there was far more archival material and more CDs, more audio in that regard in there than in this one. But this one has its pluses as well. And being a big fan of the Gilmour era and the later years from '87 to present day, I totally welcome this box set and highly recommend it to diehard fans. If you're just a novice or getting into them, I would totally recommend instead picking up the single disc collection here, which is really, really good. It definitely picks up the best of the stuff that's here in the box set. All right, so I hope everyone enjoyed this. I hope you might have learned something from this. It was an eye-opening experience for you. If you enjoyed this and you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope to see you all real soon. Take care.